Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So welcome back to our Celebrating Kartik series. And I'm so pleased to be able to join again this year in a virtual parikrama with Bhakti Caitanya Maharaj. So please let us introduce Bhakti Caitanya Maharaj, who, I mean, we could go on and on about his history, but I suggest if you just want to know everything about Bhakti Caitanya Maharaj, look up on the internet and you'll get everything. You'll find his history, his life. You're a famous person, but we have so much to do today, so I felt we should get right into it. What do you think, Maharaj?
Yeah, right. I think we should not delay because we have a really full slideshow about Radha Kund, Shama Kund.
Yes. But just briefly, Maharaj is a member of the GBC, currently the chairman of the GBC, serves in multiple areas of the world. The list goes on and on. So as I said, you want more detail, click in our video, there's a whole, in the Facebook, there's a whole description, whole bio for you. You can read everything. So we're going to go to Radha Kund. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I know this is going to be really fun. And we're going to be doing this again 2 more times. So let's get into Radha Kund. And then we're going to go to Govardhan, as well as some of the Leela Stalis of the Sakis, correct? Is that where we're going?
The villages of the Astasakis will be going, yeah.
Fantastic. Hare Krishna. So let's get into it.
Right.
You have photos to share, and we're going to go right into that.
We got a couple of 100 photos to share.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just be in the background watching. So it's your show, Maharaj.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Pancharatna Prabhu. So devotees, I have to now go in there. I have to, wow, what am I doing here? I have to share my screen. Just bear with me for a sec. And here we are. And this is our slideshow. Radha Kund and Shama Kund, the sacred meeting places of Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna. Okay, devotees, so here we go. Fasten your seatbelts, sit back, relax, and here we are at Radha Kund and Shama Kund. Well, this is just for starters. It's a drone's eye view. On our right is Radha Kund. On our left is Shama Kund. I won't go into the details, point out any of the places, but this is where we're going today. Radha Kund and Shama Kund Parikrama. And here are a few verses just to get us into the mood. Shama Kund and Radha Kund are 2 great floods of the nectar of beauty. They're 2 great oceans of splendor. They're 2 beautiful roots from which sweet devotional service grows. This is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Vrajariti Chintamani. They're 2 jewel mines of love. They're 2 seeds from which grow the jewel vines of transcendental pastimes. How did they become 2 splendid and nectar-sweet lakes? By seeing these 2 lakes, Radha and Krishna believe they're present in them. It is as if they directly see each other there. The wise say that by approaching these lakes, one directly approaches Radha and Krishna. Longing to meet, but forced to remain separate, Radha and Krishna assumed the forms of Radha Kund and Shama Kund. In this way, they become splashed with the nectar of meeting each other. Out of great kindness to the people, so they could directly taste their sweetness, Radha and Krishna have become these two lakes. Shining with happiness, the devotees bathe in these two lakes. So here we are, devotees. We have arrived at Radha Kund Shama Kund. This is an overhead view of Radha Kund. And in the back there, you can just see a little bit of Shama Kund, the little pink structure on the walkway in between Radha Kund and Shama Kund. That's called the Sangam, because that's where Radha Kund and Shama Kund meet. And in other words, Radharani and Krishna in their liquid forms, they meet there. So here's a little map. These are the places we're going to. Of course, we're going through step by step. I'm not going to run through them all right now. But, you know, there are more places, actually. Not many more, but there's probably 5 or 6 more. But these are like the main places, really. So as you can see, we're going to start at number 1. It's down at the bottom left there. It's actually the Radha Gokulananda temple, but we're just going to go to Lokanath Goswami's Samadhi. And then we'll go to number 2, Kundeshwar Shiva. So off we go. Let's get into the parikrama. So here we are. This is the Samadhi of Lokanath Goswami at Radha Kund, at the back of the Radha Gokulananda temple. And this is his little Samadhi deity. It's just, what would you say? Just a little kind of, well, it's almost, you could say in physical appearance, it's almost like a Shiva Linga, a typical Samadhi deity. So we offer our respects to Lokanath Goswami. And now we're going to number 2, Kundeshwar Shiva. So here we are at the Kundeshwar Shiva temple. Kundeshwar Shiva is the brown Shiva Linga in the middle there, in between Ganesh and who is it? I know Dattatreya or somebody, but I think you can see the brown Shiva Linga. This is how he looks generally, just like a typical sort of moderate-sized Shiva Linga. But on the Bahulastami day, Bahulastami night, which was last night, wasn't it? It was last night. They dress him up like this. Look at this. This is the same Shiva Linga, Kundeshwar, but with this mukut over his face and really looking very outstanding. So Kundeshwar Shiva, he is what they call the Dikpal, the protector. Dik actually means directions and Pal means protector. Just like Krishna's called Gopal, the protector of the cows. So Kundeshwar Shiva is the Dikpal, the protector of Radha Kund Shama Kund, as a service to Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Now we're going to number 3. You can see on the left there, the old Radha Krishna temple. This is an interesting place. Here we are with our group of devotees from Russia and a few other places going in. And this here, you see this tree, it's actually two trees entwined together. And the locals say they represent Radha and Krishna. So this temple, these Radha Krishna deities, they were found by Srila Raganath Dasko Swami when he was in the process of having Radha Kunda and Shama Kund excavated. Yeah, because he lived here, Raghunath Dasko Swami, he lived at Radha Kund, in between Radha Kund, Shama Kund actually, for 49 years, and he oversaw the development of the place. Here at the feet of those two trees are all these Govardhan Shilas, and here we are, we're in the temple. So when Raghunath Das found these deities, he understood these are the original presiding deities of Radha Kund and Shama Kund from before. The other deities which you find here at Radha Kund, Shama Kund, they're more recent, but these are old, going back to before the time of Lord Chaitanya. They're really beautiful deities, as you can see. Really, really nice. And Srimati Radharani looks completely ecstatic. So, yeah, this is the old original temple also. If you go there, you'll see the architecture. It's very typical of pre-Lord Chaitanya Brijbasi architecture, like Nandagram Temple. It's the same architecture as this old Radha Krishna temple. So that was number 3. Now we're going to number 4, Julan Talab. Julan, of course, Julan means swing. And here it is. You see this structure here in the center. This is the frame of a swing used by Radha and Krishna on the banks of Radha Kund and Shama Kund. And, you know, it's just sort of standing there now. I'm not aware of any worship or any particular programs going on. In fact, it's more that the local vegetable market goes on underneath it. You can see some vegetable cuttings and whatnot on the ground there. But here, there's a beautiful swing for Radha and Krishna. And, you know, this is a nice picture, but generally the swing is more like a lotus. And they sit in the center and they're surrounded by gopis. First of all, the Astasakis, 8. Then the next petals around, 16. Then the next petals, 32 gopis. The next ring of petals, 64, then 128, then 256, 512, and then you guessed it, 1,024, a megabyte of gopis surrounding Radha and Krishna as they swing at this place. It's a place which is not really recognized so much. Anyway, on we go to number 5, the temple of Vikreshvara Pandit. It's an interesting place. It's also a place which our ISKCON devotees I think they don't really go to so much. It's on the right here in this picture. You can see there's a tree growing behind the wall there on the right. So that's the little compound of the temple of Vikreshvara Pandit and his deities, Radha Kunda. Yeah, Radha Kunda were his deities. And here they are. We've gone into that temple there, and here's Radha Kunda. Very beautiful deities. And there's also a really nice deity of Vikreshvara Pandit. There he is. If you're familiar with Vikreshvara Pandit enough, you'd know that he was Lord Chaitanya's main dancer in Kirtan. He would dance sometimes for 72 hours, non-stop. And not just, a Swami step type of dance, left, right, left, the sort of thing, but real flying dancing. That was Vikreshvara Pandit. And he prayed to Lord Chaitanya, please let me have wings, and then I'll fly while I dance. So that was number 5. Next we go to number 6. And this is the Radha Gopinath temple. It's a substantial temple by Radha Kund standards. And Radha Gopinath, really beautiful deities, very outstanding deities. And this temple is associated with Raghunath Dasko Swami. Like I mentioned, he was living here at Radha Kund Shama Kund, just in between the two kunds. He was living there for 49 years, and he managed the development of Radha Kund and Shama Kund from the time, from how they were at the time that Lord Chaitanya discovered them. They were two little sort of ponds, you could say, 12 feet by 12 feet each, like 3 or 4 meters square in the middle of rice fields. And that's how they were when Lord Chaitanya discovered them. And not a lot was done with them from that time until Raghunath Dasko Swami came. And then they were really developed, or at least the process of development, it really started. As with so many, it's a standard feature on Gaudiya Vaishnav altars. They have Shalagram Shilas and often Govardhan Shilas, and often a Gopal, actually. So that was number 6. And now we're going, it's kind of part of the Radha Gopinath temple, more or less. It's Mother Janava's sitting place. Here it is, that little shrine you can see there. She would sit there and look out into the middle of Radha Kund, out to our left, basically, from where we're looking, more or less. And this is on the altar there inside that shrine, that's Mother Janava. And she would sit and chant there, looking out. Or this is her private bathing place. So she could bathe without people seeing her. She'd just go down and take a sacred dip in Radha Kund, right next to that shrine, just immediately behind the shrine. And here's a couple of our ISKCON devotees where you can see the lady on the left. She's kind of looking out to our left there, out into the center, because from this place, there is a bridge. We're now looking straight out into Radha Kund from the sitting area, that little area there around the shrine. So there's a bridge which goes out into the center. And in the center, there's an island. And Radha and Krishna meet on that island. I don't know if you can see it, either the bridge or the island. If you can, you've got spiritual vision, because it's still there. It's definitely there. And now we're looking back towards Mother Jahnavi's sitting place, or the little area there. You can see in the center, the blue building at the back and the small green tree. That's Mother Jahnavi's sitting area there. And she would look out across the bridge to the island in the middle of Radha Kund. So that was number 7. Now we're going to go to number 8, which is Raghunath Dasko Swami's Samadhi. If you're looking in my little key on the left there, the list, I say Raghunath Das Samadhi number 1. Would you believe there's 2? We'll go to the second one shortly. But this is physically the main Samadhi of Raghunath Dasko Swami, and it's in the same temple. It's actually in the Radha Gopinath temple, right inside, just straight down the temple room from the altar, which we saw a minute or two ago. And inside there, you can see is the Samadhi deity, sort of conical, I don't know what you say. Anyway, you can see what it looks like. So the thing is this, devotees, listen to this, that when Raghunath Dasko Swami left this world, because he's such a great devotee, it's the practice. I mean, just for sannyasis, what to speak of the very great devotees like him. But the bodies are buried, not burned. This is the usual practice. So his body was buried, but then after a while, the Muslims started a program of digging up the bodies of departed great Vaishnavas and smashing the bodies, just breaking them up and throwing them away. Really horrible. So the devotees took the body of Raghunath Dasko Swami out of the ground and cremated his body. And half of the ashes are here, and the other half of the ashes are just very nearby, about 100 meters away or less, and we'll be going there in a few minutes. So this is Samadhi number 1, in other words, for Raghunath Dasko Swami. And there's a 24-hour kirtan going on. These are all Radha Kund Babajis. But this kirtan's been going on for years and years and years. I remember the first time I went to Radha Kund, it was 76. I stayed overnight, and the kirtan was going on. So, 45 years ago. Okay, so that was number 8. Now, what we'll do now, we'll actually go down onto the banks of Radha Kund. and just see what's going on there. Different devotees are doing different things, worshipping, offering respects to Radha Kund in different ways. This lady here is reading, if you can read it, it says, Sri Radha Kripa Kataksha Stotra, prayers by Lord Shiva, appealing for Radha Kripa, the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Yeah, so many devotional activities going on around the banks of Radha Kund. Here we are, we're looking from the top of one of the buildings behind Radha Kund. We're looking across Radha Kund, and then across at the back is Shama Kund. And in the middle there, in between, is the Sangam I mentioned earlier, where the waters, where Radha and Krishna in their liquid forms meet. They meet under the Sangam. And where it is, you can see just to the left a little bit, you can see that there's holes through, there's openings going through under the walkway, and the waters of Radha Kund and Shama Kund are mixing there. Yeah, you can see the water of Shama Kund just very slightly there. So yeah, this is the Sangam. Sangam, of course, means meeting place, where Radha and Krishna and their liquid forms meet. And of course, Radha Kund means there must be some pandas around, some of the local Brahmins trying to do pujas for different people, including us also. And in this way, well, they help the people, I guess, and they earn a living. This is at the Sangam. See this pile of Govardhan Shilas there. And here, oh, I don't know if you know this particular Panda. He's an old friend of mine. I've known him since he was a little boy. Really, just a little boy. I've known him almost 40 years, about 35 years. This is Chandra Mohan Panda. Very friendly and, enthusiastic Panda of Radha Kund. A very nice fellow, actually, in many ways. Yeah, and the devotees do different pujas and offerings. And yeah, one of the local little calves. So now back on the Parikrama path, now we're going to number 9. I think you can see number 9 there. This is another temple which is not visited much by ISKCON devotees, at least in my experience. It's the Radha Raman temple. There are temples which are extensions or expansions of the 7 main temples of Vrindavan. This is Radha Raman. We were just in Radha Gopinath. Shortly, we'll go to Radha Govinda, and the others are there also. I mentioned Radha Gokulananda right at the very beginning. So this is the Radha Raman temple with what they call pratibhu deities, like expansion deities of the originals. And actually, Radha Raman are the deities, the smaller deities on the left. And the bigger deities are Revati and Balaram. Yeah, this is actually a few years ago, so things may have changed a bit in the meantime. So now we'll go from number 9, we'll go up to number 10, which, as you can see there, it's Swananda Sukada Kunj. And here's a more detailed map. It's actually down the road there from the Radha Raman temple. And this is the place where it was the place of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Actually, it was the house belonging to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta would come and stay here sometimes during Kartik. So here's our group of devotees from different places: Russia, India, South Africa, and in we go. So inside we find this is a Pushpa Samadhi of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is a Pushpa Samadhi of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And just on the right, as you go in, you find there's a collection of furniture and different personal items used personally by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. This was his bed. And here we are. That's me with the microphone there. In my left hand is a shoe worn by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And this is the walking stick of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, actually personally used directly by him. And we're tapping the devotees on their heads, giving them some mercy from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Yeah, so it's a very sacred, very, very special place. So that was number 10 up the top there. Now we're going down to number 11, which is the Radha Govinda temple. It's another one of the sort of expansion temples, expanded from the original temples in Vrindavan. So right, there it is, number 11. And I mean, this is an interesting little point. This area where you can see all the numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, this is in between Radha Kund and Shama Kund. It's called Govindagat. And it's a special place because all these different devotees lived here and did a lot of service here. So here we are. Up on the right, you can see a blue structure with a green doorway with a sort of a metal sort of security type gates. That's the entrance of the Radha Govinda temple. Actually, in the center here, this circular structure, this is a rasastali, where Radha and Krishna, they say, perform rasa dance. So here we are. This is the entrance to the Radha Govinda temple, and in we go. And there's Radha Govinda on the altar, Pratibhu deities, sort of like, you could say, even replacement deities or expanded deities from the originals. And they're really beautiful. They're looked after nicely. And the devotees here generally are extremely pleasant. Yeah, so that was number 11. Now, right next door, actually within the same property, is number 12, which is the tongue of Govardhan. Would you believe? There it is, you see, number 12. So here we are. There's a little shrine just to one side just maybe 20 meters away from the entrance to the Radha Govinda temple on the same property. And this is the temple of the tongue of Govardhan Hill. The story is that when Raghunath Dasko Swami was having Radha Kund and Shama Kund excavated, then he didn't want to take water from the kunds for bathing. So they dug a well. We'll be visiting that well shortly. They dug a well just at the back of Shama Kund for water just for personal use. But as they were digging, the workers struck a rock and the rock started bleeding. And they were bewildered. So they approached Raghunath Dasko Swami. He took that rock. He didn't really know what to make of it all. But that night, in a dream, Govardhan spoke to him and said, "That was my tongue. Please put my tongue in a temple and worship him." So here, you see the picture on the right here? This is Raghunath Dasko Swami. Then it says Sri Giriraj Ka Jiva Mandir. And there's Krishna on the left, Sri Giriraj Dharan. And here is the tongue. It's a Govardhan Shila. This is at Bahulastami, or maybe it was Gopastami time, but it was one of those times, right around this time during Kartik. And you can see they really dress him up and decorate him. But at different times, he looks different. This is a different Shringa. They call these decorations a Shringa. And here, devotees, look at this. This is the tongue photographed from the back. I got in and went around the back, and you can see on the top there, running sort of from back to front, and slightly to the left of center on the top of the Shila, you can see there's an impression. Can you see that? This is where the spade of the worker hit this Govardhan Shila, the tongue of Govardhan, and left an impression, and blood was coming out. So this is the tongue of Govardhan. Now we'll go down to number 13, which is Gopal Bhatta's Baitak. Baitak literally means sitting place, means he wasn't really living there so much, but he would come, and when he would come, he would stay there for a little while. Number 13. So here we are inside. This is the sitting place of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And then number 14 is interesting. It's the three samadhis. There's the second samadhi of Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's, it's a second samadhi of his. His first samadhi is in Vrindavan town, actually, in the garden of the 64 samadhis near the big Radha Govinda temple. And then the samadhi of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. They all passed away on the same day, but in different years. And their bodies were buried, but then they were taken out later and cremated, and the ashes put in here. So on the left is Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, in the center at the back, Krishnadas Kaviraj, and on the right is Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Bhatta, Krishnadas Kaviraj, and the second Samadhi of Raghunath Das Goswami. And so that was number 14. Now we'll go around to number 15. And you can see there's two 15s actually. The bottom one, closer to Shamakund, is actually Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Bhajan Kutia. He lived there. When we say Bhajan Kutia, as distinct from Baitak, Baitak means where the person would sit sometimes when they'd visit. But Bhajan Kutia means a living place where the person would do bhajan. So the lower 15 is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Bhajan Kutia, and the next one just above is Raghunath Das Goswami's. So first of all, we're looking at Raghunath Das Goswami's, and yeah, this is the place at least where he would stay. Obviously not exactly the building. And you see this picture here on the wall, big picture, very interesting. Actually, it's a combination of two pastimes in one picture. In the first pastime, there's Raghunath Das chanting japa in the center. And you can see on the top left, that's Sanatan Goswami. And one day he was watching as Raghunath Das was just chanting on the banks of Shamakund, actually, and just totally absorbed and not really aware of his external surroundings. And Sanatan Goswami saw two tigers just walked past Raghunath Das and started drinking from Shamakund. And now, this is Srimati Radharani here, but this is the second pastime, not this first pastime. So anyway, here's the tigers. Sanatan Goswami was on the other side of Shamakund. And when the tigers left, he went running around. Oh, well, no. He noticed, yeah, this is a point. He noticed that Krishna was standing at the back behind Raghunath Das Goswami, ready to intervene if the tigers, looked like they might be going to bother or attack Raghunath Das. So then immediately after the tigers left, Sanatan came running around from the other side. And he told Raghunath Das that, he explained the tigers were there, but Krishna appeared to protect you. And he told Raghunath Das that you're engaging Krishna in your service. Because at that time, Raghunath Das did not have any, like a hut or any sort of structure that he was living in. He was just literally sleeping under the trees. So Sanatan Goswami told him, you must build a hut, because at least it'll give some protection. Because it's not good to engage Krishna in your service. And Raghunath Das agreed, but he did not do it. So then, in the second pastime, it was midsummer, maybe 50 degrees. And Raghunath Das was just sitting outside chanting in the middle of the day, just oblivious to the external circumstances. And again, Sanatan Goswami on the left there, on the other side of the Kund, he saw Srimati Radharani appeared and held her sari over the head of Raghunath Das Goswami to protect him from the sun. But she was exposed to the sun. She was just perspiring and perspiring. And after a little while, she left. And Sanatan Goswami again, he came running around and told Raghunath Das, Now you're engaging Radharani in your service. This is not good. You must build a hut. And so Raghunath Das, he built a hut. And this is just an old picture. It's on the seat there, illustrating the first of these two pastimes. Then right next door, just a matter of 1 meter away or less, literally through the wall, is the Bhajan Kutia of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This is where he wrote Gauravastakam. He wrote his Bhagavatam commentaries here, because he lived here for many years. And here, this tree, unfortunately it looks like it's departed, but this was one of the Pandavas. The Pandavas were here in the forms of trees, just directly in front of these two Bhajan Kutias. Then, so that was number 15. Now we're going to go to number 16. The number 16 on the left is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's Bhajan Kutia. He lived here. And as the little sign says, this is where he wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita. And there he is writing under a tree on the banks of Shamakund. And this is his, ceremonial sitting place with nice painting there, done by an ISKCON devotee. Then on the right-hand 16 is the temple of Ganga Mata Goswamini, a great female devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And these were her deities. Right, so now we're going up to number 17. You see up the top there. This is the Jagannath temple in Radha Kund, Shamakund. And this is Jagannath Puri in Radha Kund, Shamakund. And every year on the Rath Yatra day, the official Rath Yatra day, these deities are taken out on a Rath cart, and there's a Rath Yatra around Radha Kund and Shamakund. Then, so now we're going to 18, and 18 is Jiva Goswami's Bhajan Kutia. He also lived here for some time. And here are Pratibhu deities of Radha Damodar, who he worshipped traditionally. So this is the temple itself. And look at this beautiful painting done by Mother Acha Vigraha, an ISKCON devotee, disciple of Giriraj Maharaj. Unfortunately, she passed away, but really expert artist. So Jiva Goswami, Ki Jai. And this is the altar. On the top there's the Pratibhu deities of Radha Damodar. Down the bottom, you can see the big red footprints. They're said to have been taken directly from the actual feet of Lord Chaitanya, because Lord Chaitanya was big and his lotus feet were big. So Shri Radha Damodar, very beautiful Pratibhu deities and beautifully worshipped. And these are the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. As we said, they say that they were taken directly from the actual feet of Lord Chaitanya. And they have their own collection of Shilas, Govardhan Shilas, and a couple of 1 or 2 Shalagram Shilas, and a Laddu Gopal. And if we go out we look back. This is now Shama Kund, and we're looking back to the Sangam. It's painted blue there. And you see this tree on the right-hand side. They say this was one of the Pandavas. They say this was Yudhisthira. So, okay, just across the road, number 19, across the road from Jiva Goswami's Bhajan Kutir and Radha Damodar is Lolita Kund. There, before we go there, along the road, you find the bead wallahs with loads and just loads and loads of beads. And some Ram beads there, and Krishna beads, neck bead type things. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so now then, we'll go to number 19. Lolita Kund, here's Lolita Kund. Actually, there were Kunds of all the Astasakis, and even the 8 main cowherd boys around Radha Kund, Shama Kund, but the only one that's manifest to this day is this Lolita Kund. There she is, Lalita Devi. Blocked off from this other sort of, it's also a Kund, in fact, but kind of very informal at the back there. And this is how it looks now. Some local devotees have fixed things up nicely there. Oh, look at this. Oh, Hare Krishna. Sometimes when they're cleaning Radha Kund and Shama Kund, they take the turtles out and put them in Lolita Kund. And it's just like, sure, very heavily crowded with turtles. Okay, now we're going to number 20. It's the Lalita Bihari temple, kind of overlooking Lolita Kund. And we just have one simple and rather old photo here of Radha Lalita Bihari, with Lalita on our right there. You can see that's Lalita. And on we go. Now we're going to number 21 on the right there. This is Gopakua. This is the well that the workers were digging out so that Raganath, Dasko, Swami and everybody could have water for bathing and just personal use. And this is where that worker hit the tongue of Govardhan Hill, somewhere down underneath there. So this is Gopakua, the well of the cowherd boys, and this is a Govardhan Shila on top of the structure there now. They bring different Shilas from time to time. So we're almost there, devotees. Now we're going to number 22, which is the sitting place of Madhavendra Puri. And here it is. A nice spot at the end of Shama Kund. And there's the painting you can see at the bottom, Madhavendra Puri chanting and Lord Krishna coming and bringing him some milk, I think, in that clay pot just a little behind them, in between them. Shripad Madhavendra Puri. And here's some of the locals, pilgrims. They look like farmers. Anyway, they're sincere people in their own ways. So now we're looking from the end of Shama Kund back to the Sangam, and behind the Sangam is Radha Kund. So that was 22. Now we're going to 23, which is the sitting place of Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya discovered Radha Kund and Shama Kund, in the evening, after bathing in them and marking his body with tilak from the mud around the kunds, he came and sat here at the end of Shama Kund, and he chanted, overlooking those sacred kunds. And there's some nice paintings here of different pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. The passing away of Haridas Thakur, deliverance of Jagai and Madai. You can see Madai on our left, even though Lord Chaitanya is accepting the surrender of Jagai, but Madai still looks pretty mean, pretty aggressive. And from here, we're looking across where those steps are. You can see the red steps. That's Govindagat, where Raghunath Dasko Swami's Bhajan Kutir, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and all those places are there, kind of in between Radha Kund and Shama Kund. So we're going to number 24, the Madan Mohan Temple, second to last place. And it's a nice spot, very nice spot, nice temple. These are the Pratibhu deities of Madan Mohan. Connected, actually owned by the people who own the Madan Mohan Temple in Vrindavan town, and some Shilas. And on the left, who is it? Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. Then next is Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet, then Krishna's, then Sri Radha's lotus feet. And there's a Bhajan Kutir of Sanatan Goswami here, right next to the altar, right next. This is Sanatan Goswami. There he is offering bhakti to Madan Mohan. And this is where, well, you can see we're almost at Radha Kund. We're on the Shama Kund side. And this is where the pastime with the Chatu Pushpanjali happened, where Rupa Goswami, having written that poem, Chatu Pushpanjali, a glorification of Radharani, he brought it to Radha Kund, Shama Kund, and gave it to Sanatan Goswami, and asked Sanatan Goswami to check it. This is Govindagat again. And Sanatan Goswami was reading it, and he noticed that, well, on the right, we're now looking back from the Sangam to the end of Shama Kund. On the right is the Madan Mohan compound. But Rupa Goswami said Radharani has a long black plait of hair, and when she moves, the plait moves, and when the plait moves, it looks like a black snake. And Sanatan Goswami thought, this is Govindagat again, Sanatan Goswami thought, that's not nice. Radharani, black snake. So it's a long story, actually. But when Rupa Goswami came back and he wanted to take the book back, and he was assuming that Sanatan Goswami had made some corrections, but Sanatan hadn't. He didn't know what to do about this black snake matter. So Sanatan came and sat on the banks of Shama Kund, and some village girls came just over here where Govindagat is, where we're looking right now, playing a ball game and jumping and laughing. And then Sanatan saw a black snake was climbing up the back of one of the girls to bite the girl. And he called out, "Snake, snake, watch out." And the girls, they became stunned. "Where's the snake?" "On her back." And they looked on her back and they just roared with laughter and said, "That's no snake, that's her hair." And they laughed and then they vanished. And Sanatana Goswami understood that was Radharani and the gopis. And they wanted to show me directly that what Rupa Goswami says is right. That Radharani's hair, when she moves and her plait moves, it looks like a black snake. So Rupa came and said, "Can I take the book now? Tell me what you think of the book?" And Sanatana Goswami said, "It is wonderful, particularly the part about her hair looking like a black snake. That's just really wonderful." So that happened at this place here, number 24. So very last spot, here we are, number 25, Lord Nityananda's sitting place. He stayed here for some time at Radha Kund. So there's a nice temple here and a nice shrine to Lord Nityananda. So there you go, devotees. I hope I haven't gone over time too far. We've gone all the way around, starting on the right. You can see on the right, at the top, there's a white dome, very narrow, pointy dome. That's, if I remember correctly, that's Kundeshwar. Then coming around, on the far right, you can see there's some green paint there. There's the tree. That's Vakreshvara Pandit. Then there's the Radha Gopinath temple, etc., etc. Anyway, I won't go into detail. So, yes, some final prayers. Of all the gopis, Radharani is the dearmost. This is Lord Chaitanya speaking. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 18. Similarly, the lake known as Radha Kund is very dear to the Lord because it's very dear to Srimati Radharani. Just as Srimati Radharani is most dear to Lord Krishna, so her lake known as Radha Kund is also very dear to him. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most beloved. And there's Srimati Radharani. Whoever bathes just once in Radha Kund attains Srimati Radharani's loving attraction for Sri Krishna. Who within this world can describe the glories and sweetness of Sri Radha Kund, as spoken by Lord Chaitanya? Sri Radha Kund Shama Kund Ki Jai. So there we go, devotees. What to do now?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So sweet and wonderful. Now you have so much increased my eagerness to go to these places again. Many I've never been to. And now I have in a virtual sense. And now I have to pray that this physical form can also go into those places too by the grace of Sri Radha. So this was truly wonderful. We can mentally bathe now. Is that okay? We can take a mental bath. I wanted to ask you, Maharaj, because it's my, Prabhupada admonished us not to enter into to take a full bath in Radha Kund, except perhaps on the Bahulashtami day. But it's my habit to sit there and just pour buckets and buckets, just sit on the side and just pour the water over me. Is that okay? Is that all right? I don't actually jump in.
That's okay.
That's okay.
That's all right. Yeah,
all right.
That's good.
I get pretty wet. It's wonderful, and it's usually a hot day too, so it's double mercy. So anyway, we hope to see you there one time, but we will see you again in some days. I'm not exactly sure the day, but when we're going to visit Govardhan, so that will be really
right.
Yeah,
I forget. I think is it the 5th, but anyway, it's in the schedule.
Yeah, it's in the schedule. So great. And all of our viewers, please share this with your friends, with your associates, on your own pages, on your you're all here on Facebook, or not all of you. Some of you are also watching us on YouTube. But share it on your page, share this whole series so that others can take advantage. This is a wonderful way to go deeper and to enrich our Krishna consciousness in this glorious month of Kartik. So thank you very much, Maharaj. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Hare Krishna.
Yes, in a few days. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.